At a time when Disney needs to wake up Marvel more than they have since the Phase 1 first began, they're doubling down perhaps on dumb. This time, they're taking down the web slinger himself, Spider-Man, with a new title for the upcoming film that has fans scratching their heads. Today we'll tell you why Disney might want to turn to folks like Eric July and Chuck Dixon. They're beating Snow White. And guess what, folks? Spider-Man might not be all right unless the unwoke can save him. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we only deal in utter excellence, even if we are covering companies that sometimes do not. And that's why we are so excited to talk about a company that is excellent, Rippaverse. They have trampled poor Disney and Snow White. Disney's just a small company after all. And Chuck Dixon, who works over at Rippaverse now, his source material beating Snow White in the second weekend. Now that we're starting to see what's happening with Spider-Man, the question becomes, maybe Disney should consult with the people who are crashing the cultural party and making Disney look tardy to figuring out what the market really wants. Click the like button, and here we go. Tom Holland reveals Spider-Man 4 title is Brand New Day. Director Dustin Daniel Cretton attended the presentation at CinemaCon. Now, let me tell you, we've got an article on that Park Place. I'm going to bring it up in just a second. It explains this in a way that you won't see anywhere else. Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is untitled no longer. The star appeared in a video clip to announce that the film is titled Spider-Man Brand New Day, set to hit theaters July 31st, 2026. Note the date, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we've known this, but we want to bring it back to attention. And that is that this thing's releasing right after Doomsday. Filmmaker Dustin Daniel Cretton also took the stage at CinemaCon on Monday, where he copped to having just lost $200 at the roulette table in Las Vegas. And Disney said, "You ain't seen nothing yet. Check out what we lost at the Snow White table." To say that it's an honor to be standing on this stage is a pretty big understatement. He said. He explained that he was a lifelong fan of the character and has been drawn to Peter Parker's humor and messy humanity. All right, but folks, we're not here to read you what they want you to read. We're here to give you what is between the lines. And for that, we go to that Park Place. Spider-Man 4 gets official title, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that might be a bad sign for comic fans. It says Marvel and Sony have finally unveiled the title for the next Tom Holland Spider-Man, but behind the optimistic name is a connection to one of the most controversial comic book arcs in Spider-Man's history. All right, Marvin, you're the author here. Explain to us, what is Spider-Man Brand New Day, and why should fans be worried that this is going the way of Phase 4, 5, and a very sick Phase 6?
Well, yeah, so Spider-Man Brand New Day is one of the most reviled comic book arcs in history. It was a reboot, a reset of Spider-Man that basically wiped out decades of character development. It followed the One More Day storyline, which came out of the Civil War thing, which was basically it took Spider-Man, who everyone knew his identity. He was married to Mary Jane. Aunt May had died because the Kingpin had attempted to assassinate him and missed. But he made a deal with Mephisto to get rid of his marriage to Mary Jane in exchange for Aunt May, who was like 98, coming back to life. So for Aunt May to get another 2 years worth of life, he was willing to give up the love of his life. And yeah, it essentially erased everything. It reset everything, and everybody was just like, no, this is not what we want. We've just turned the clock back. And even if this is not what they're doing with that, which I don't think it's going to be that, because in Brand New Day, Spider-Man couldn't even remember that he was married to Mary Jane. It's a name that does not leave a good taste in the mouth of comic book fans.
Well, it doesn't leave a good name in my mouth either, because or good taste, because I was hoping for Spider-Man Home on the Range. I mean, look at this. We've broken the pattern. This is just not okay with me. Here's the other thing to take away from this. And we're going to get into a discussion in just a moment about how this relates to Snow White. But, gentlemen, there is no way on God's green earth that they're going to have the Avengers movie, and then 2 months later, we get a Spider-Man movie, and Spider-Man not be in the movie Doomsday to lead into the Spider-Man. Like, that's terrible marketing. There's no way. And so anyway, I think you can just about sign the check. Tom Holland's going to be in Doomsday, along with a lot of other characters. Guys, what do you think about this? Any trepidation when it comes to the film Is this a risky play for them to go back to a comic story not many people like?
I don't expect many people have read that comic book that are not comic book fans. So I don't know that it's going to hurt them that much, other than it's just kind of a eye roll of a story. And Age of Ultron is a great example of something where they just took the title. Like, Age of Ultron was something about the world being destroyed and Ultron getting ultimate power, whereas the movie was like the 2 to 3 days of Ultron as opposed to the Age of Ultron. Also, this is, and I got this out of my system just a little bit ago, but I'm really, really disappointed that I found out that the last Spider-Man movie, they consider that a cliffhanger. I thought that it was an ending to the stories that I did not like. I actually did like No Way Home, but I'm tired of Tony Stark Jr. and I'm tired of the stilted romance of Zendaya and Tom Holland's characters. I don't feel like they have much chemistry at all. Some great cinematography got over that for me for No Way Home, but I actually thought we were going to get some Spider-Man stories. So I'm a little disappointed to find out that what I viewed as a fresh beginning is instead a cliffhanger. So they promise, no, we're going to bring back Ned and we're going to bring back Zendaya, and so we're not going to be getting a Spider-Man story.
All right, let me tie this to Snow White for just a minute, because there's a big story here that I want to share with people and see what they think about it. Snow White did not do well at the box office this past weekend. It came in second, and it nearly came in third. And right now, as we have talked about, and we've got a video coming out on this tomorrow, I believe, Snow White is actually losing to the Marvels, adjusted for inflation. Let me say it again, folks. The Marvels is beating Snow White when adjusted for inflation. Now, what movie beat Snow White? A Working Man. And what is A Working Man based on? Well, it's based on the characters and stories of one Chuck Dixon. Where does Chuck Dixon currently work, gentlemen? Can anybody tell me?
Rippaverse.
Rippaverse, indeed. Those cool cats over there with Eric July, Kara, and you've got India Andrew. Folks, I'm here to tell you something. In panel, I'm going to hand this to you and see what you think about it. I think Disney going back to very unpopular stories for Spider-Man is a bad idea. And I legitimately believe at this point that Disney would be better served to go over to the Rippaverse and say, help us out. Because now the people at the Rippaverse are beating Disney's own movies. Chuck Dixon just defeated Snow White. So go over there and say, listen, help us out. Clearly, you're the leader in comics now.
It would be a cold day in hell before that happens.
That's not going to happen.
Marvin, yeah. I can't believe you would. You doubt this. This.
But that doesn't mean that.
They really.
It's in no way, shape, or form would they ever do anything like that, to acknowledge that somebody who disagrees with them ideologically might actually be a disruptor to the industry that they're supposedly have a stranglehold on. No, that would mean Disney made a mistake at some point, and we know how they feel about that.
Ron, I know you were trying to get in. There may be a delay. Let me get you in right now. Ron, your thoughts on whether or not the culture has actually shifted such that now we see Spider-Man and we think, yeah, they're going to screw it up. And we see Rippaverse and we think those guys are rocking over there. Chuck Dixon's beating Snow White.
Well, the Rippaverse people, if you've looked at the comics and the artwork and the writing and everything, it's phenomenal. And it lends itself to potential movies for sure. And that's what I was going to say. I hope it's not. I would hope that Disney would never touch the Rippaverse, because the way Disney is now, I don't want to see Rippaverse ruined. That's what would happen. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of other movie companies out there that could pick up any of the stories from the Rippaverse, and any of them would be fantastic superhero movies. The superhero genre of movie is not necessarily a bad or dead genre. The problem is we've had horrible writing in the last 5 years for almost everything that's come out when it comes to superhero movies. They're just boring. Marvel wrote themselves into a really bad corner with Endgame and the whole snap. I mean, the more I've thought about it, bringing back 4 billion people without resources would be would be bad, but also they killed the resources. Thanos snapped away half of all life, which means half of all food. I mean, there's just so many things that they did wrong. Like those movies, it needed to end. Endgame needed to end Marvel, and they just should have done it like a straight reboot. But they are continuing on because I think Kevin Feige just has this hubris about him where he thinks that it can just be the perfect little thing and it's his baby, whatever. As far as this Spider-Man movie is concerned, Brand New Day it's an incredibly vague title. Even though it might refer back to a comic storyline, it's so vague, and you can kind of see with what they did with the last movie. Well, he's restarting, even though it's not a reboot. It's like it's one of those weird soft reboot, not really reboot things that they keep trying to do, and it's very, very convoluted. I don't have a lot of faith in anything Marvel going forward. I mean, Brave New World was just it was horrible.
Spider-Man has been the most lucrative thing that Marvel has. Even as the rest of the stuff has fallen, Spider-Man keeps making money. He keeps swinging those webs and slinging them and sliding through the city. Culture, things might not be so pretty at Marvel anymore, though, because here's the deal. People want a heroic Spider-Man with a beautiful Mary Jane. They want a heroic Luke Skywalker with a beautiful Mara Jade. Disney refuses to give either, and instead, culture, it looks they're going to dive even harder into the obscure woke stuff. Culture, why won't they just give the audience what they want? Why won't they just give them what they want?
Well, I mean, if you're in control of the culture, or, a good 65% of it, as far as all the existing IPs that are out there that are ever going to make it to television or film, there's only one reason not to listen to the audience and give the audience what they want. You're driven by something else. So they're not driven by money, which should be terrifying to investors or infuriating, depending upon your perspective. And they are ideologically driven. They've been accused of it, and now they're being investigated for it. And there's a reason, because they are not living up to the requirements of being a for-profit corporation with shareholders. And I can't wait to see what comes of that. But if you ask me, I would say it's purely ideology, bro. There's no other reason to not cover the things that the audience wants. You have to ask, who's this for? Well, it's for people who aren't going to go see it if they do destroy Spider-Man, and that's going to make me very sad.
Well, that would be one of the final nails, right? I mean, you got Wolverine and you got Spider-Man. Because listen, Blake Lively has devastated Ryan Reynolds. We don't know how he'll perform now with a Deadpool movie. So, and it could get worse. But Culture, do you think that places like Rippaverse, like Big Man Comics, do you think these are the new repositories where movies will pull those storylines in 20 years? Is that
I don't think it's going to be 20 years. I think it's going to be now. I mean, you're going to see Rippaverse, you're going to see Eric July make a movie deal. Like, instead of doing something for himself, he's going to he'll be compelled to do a deal with somebody as long as he has full creative control, and they can't harm his characters. Look, why Warner Brothers isn't knocking at his door right now, I don't know. They should be. Who doesn't have a big comic property right now? Comcast? They should be knocking at his door. They could launch the whole Rippaverse. Not to mention, not everything over there has to be about, Rippaverse comics. It doesn't have to be about superheroes. Eric's capable, and his team are capable of doing anything, writing anything. He's got, we've met some of these people in person, and they are incredibly impressive. And then, of course, you add, great minds and voices that have been around forever, like Chuck Dixon, and boy, howdy. So I think it's sooner rather than later, Pro. And I think it's going to be the media companies that can get beyond their ideology are going to be the ones that'll be successful.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. It looks like Chuck Dixon is beating Disney. He's over at the Rippaverse now. And Marvel is ripping away at one of their last legacy items that works every single time. Will this work? I don't know. But the title says to us that they're doubling down on a message that fans don't want. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew. And that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah.
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio.
Arizona. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian ice freeze, yeah. Can't wait to be up. 3 days of you and me.
What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.